All right, guys, welcome back. This is our second home, which is quickly becoming our first home. You
Yeah,
see us
man.
all the time now. We in LA,
Residents at this
and we
point.
got a special episode. So by now, this show that we have done will already have happened.
Yes.
So you would have known that we had a special performance from one of my
Legendary.
favorite artists, Blxst.
Legendary performance.
Yeah, appreciate that. But it all stemmed from, what was that party? Where did we first initially connect? It was at it was a party. It was outside.
Was that Amazon for Grammy?
The Amazon, yeah.
Oh yeah. Grammy week.
So you might be familiar with Blxst's music. I'm pretty sure you are, but a lot of times we don't know the business behind it. So his partners in the label, Victor and Carl, they have a label Eagle, and it's interesting because it's independent label. So for Earn Your Leisure, obviously business platform. So we're gonna talk about the publishing. We're gonna talk about trials and tribulations of running the label, partnerships, LA and Newark. we got both sides working here.
We can't forget Newark.
Venture capital, a bunch of stuff. And I feel like it's a dope conversation to have, especially at this time. So wanted to thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah. And I use your lyrics for my captions a lot.
I love it.
My favorite one is if you're a big stepper, don't trip over small shit. That got a lot of traction when I posted like, yo, that's genius line.
Oh my God. Where'd you pull that one from?
yeah. Nah, so I appreciate that. You ghost written a lot of captions for me.
Yeah. And congrats. Just for clarity too.
It's out right now.
Officially out. You know what I'm saying? That's a good one. A nice little something to keep the taste buds.
Yeah, it's the appetizer.
The appetizer.
To the meal. So, all right, let's start. So, all right, where do you guys meet at? Because you guys are from South Central, you're from Newark, but none of you knew each other, right? So, where do you meet and where does the idea come to actually start working together?
I initially met Vic just renting out a studio in Culver City. It was a studio that he was running, and I would just go there, just trying to take time away from being at home with my son and stuff. So I found a spot, and he was just like, where your team at? Because he seen me doing everything, producing, recording myself. And he was like, nah, we got to put some plays together. So we came up with this thing called a content calendar, which we'll pick each date and pick something to post and just gauge the results from there. And then Carl, he had reached out from Instagram. This was
a minute ago too.
Sliding in the DMs early.
Yeah. So, but what's crazy is Vic's mom and my mom stay around the corner from each other, and we didn't even know each other growing up.
Oh, so y'all grew up next to each other, but y'all didn't know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Dope.
Damn. Okay.
So, all right. So y'all build it. When does the label start?
Label started 2017. This was around the time I had my son, and initially it was just something for me to represent myself, because I always looked at it like it's better when a company represents you versus you represent yourself. And I feel like Carl pretty much made it make sense for me, Vic as well. That was just the initial beginning of everything as far as Eagle.
But you was doing music prior to that, right? Before you had the actual label, you was putting out music just by yourself.
Nah, I was actually part of a collective before.
I don't want to get the. It's like what was the letters?
TIU.
TIU. I was like, I know some IU in there. I was about to say ICU, but I'm like, this ain't that.
ICU.
This is dangerous.
That's another collective.
Yeah.
So, all right. So so that's interesting. I remember Ash Cash said that, like, when an author, like, putting a book out, it's always better to seem like you have a publishing company as opposed to being an independent author. So he created a publishing company because it just looks better to have like one brick publishing produced his book as opposed to just Ash Cash, just the author. So the label, that's similar to that. So when you start the label, it's still with the purpose of you just being the solo artist on the label, but it just looks better if it's a label as opposed to you just hustling as an independent artist.
Yeah, I mean, of course we had goals to make it bigger eventually anyway, so we had to start somewhere, and I feel like it was perfect to start the foundation with myself, of course.
So what's each one of you guys' responsibility in the label?
So I mean, I'm the president of the label, and I'm also Blxst manager too, though. So wear both those hats.
Yeah, I'm the COO, co-founder too, but I'm also Blxst attorney.
Oh, you're a lawyer?
Yes,
Yeah, lawyer,
man. International.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We're gonna talk about that. So that you were managing that first, right? So where did you get the background in that? Or is that something that you saw the talent and you said, all right, let me see where I can help? Or like, did you have experience prior?
I mean, nah, I never wanted to work in music ever. That wasn't really my goal when I was in college. I played football in college. So I went to University of Washington, went to graduate school in Southern Illinois. So when I moved home, I was working for Benny Boom. And so I was doing like all their product merchandising. I started working with Dame Dash a little bit. So like I was really more so in the content distribution world, in the product distribution world. And from there, it's really just like the skills I took from playing football. I was already running my own company, making merchandise, throwing events. So just taking the intangibles from those, I was like, shit, you already a one-man show. I could really just plug in these different outlets around your pre-existing talent, and then we can try to go to the moon with it. So really, that's where it all conjured up from.
So, all right. So when does this really start to take off? Because I think I got turned on to your music like probably like 18 months ago. I think like that's when like the wave really started to hit, at least on the East Coast. I'm not sure, you probably had a buzz out here already. But when does this go from, okay, this is becoming a mainstream situation?
I would say when we did the partnership with Red Bull, I mean, I definitely had a buzz. Dropping music with Bino Rideau, which is from LA as well. We got this project called The Six Tape. And I felt like No Love Lost was my follow-up solo project. And I feel like that made the noise. That's what had Chosen.
Yeah.
And went double platinum straight out the gate.
And what year was that?
2020?
2020.
2020.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Six
Yeah,
Tape.
dropped the end of
The Six Tape,
2020.
yeah. And we knew Bino from being with Nip. So I was like, we're familiar with that.
He did a tape with Nip.
Yeah. That was the Stuck in the Grind. I remember he's on all over that Stuck in the Grind LP. That's dope. So the Red Bull situation is interesting, right? Cause and Carl, I'm sure you had your hands all over this. So Red Bull, it was obviously we know it as a drink, right? But we didn't know that they were making actual artists. So how did you approach them and make this deal happen? Because this is the first tape that y'all put out, right?
For sure. I mean, I always talk to Vic about it. I mean, like, you know, everybody in the industry was like, you know, what label are you picking? Right? It was a conversation like, what label are you going to? But, you know, I think Red Bull offered something that the labels couldn't, which is like, you know, that can's in every single place across the globe. Like, and not only do they have the can, but they have F1. Not only do they have F1, they got, you know, culture teams in every little city. So it just made sense. We were like, you know, what don't we have? What don't we have access to? And they just had it. So they came to us. They have a record side. Most people don't know that Red Bull as a record label. A&R kind of contacted us and just went from there.
So what exactly was the partnership with Red Bull? Were they like 50-50 partners in the distribution of the music, or did they?
Yeah, it's 50.
Okay.
Is a you know,
it's like a label deal.
Yeah, it's like a partnership. Definitely more. I would say definitely more of a partnership. And then, you know, they gave us you know, overhead to sort of build our company out. And you know, we're still in business today. We're signing artists with them. You know, we got an office at Red Bull. So
Right.
yeah, it's cool. It's a really, really cool partnership for sure.
So what makes you want to? All right, but what makes you want to choose Red Bull over? Because I'm assuming like you had a lot of labels that were offering you situations. Because it's still not Red Bull is still not a music company. So even though they have a lot of distribution and they have a big name, most people would have just went with a music company because that's what they specialize in. So what made you want to choose a product and a liquid product company as opposed to a music distribution company?
I think we were kind of like we are the culture. Like we are the music. We are the, you know, all of us together. We feel like in our respective cities, you know, we've been doing this for a long time, and Blxst music's incredible. You know, his ear, his you know, his taste, everything about it. So we were like, the music's fine. The culture, like, you know, we don't need nobody to help us build culture or community. Like no label can teach us how to do that. So we just wanted a partner that could, you know, give us stuff that we didn't have access to.
Yeah. So does I'm just envisioning this now, and from just the standpoint of like, as you're looking on a global scale, is the music showing up everywhere that Red Bull shows up? And so we know they're big in like MLS, and we know they're big internationally. Are you thinking that from the start, and did that take convincing? Right, like, hey, I got this opportunity. Or is everybody on board? Like, yeah, okay, we'll do this.
I think it was up in the air first with me. So I wrote my dissertation on Red Bull in grad school.
Oh wow.
So I kind of already knew like the different avenues. I mean, we joke all the time, but like my favorite term is vertical integration. That's what I wrote my paper on. So that's how I even understood the fact of, I mean, everybody know the music world, they really make their money off all their recoupable expenses that they dish out. So, you know, you start looking at Red Bull and looking at their different mediums, a lot of that stuff is non-recoupable costs when you start doing business with the outside entities. So where it is, I mean, I know we're gonna talk about the venture stuff later, but where it is like our artists will have to go back, take that first lump sum of money and buy their masters back. In this situation, we was able to procure business terms to where we didn't even have to go through that first step. We automatically obtain all that from the jump. And then we go in and really invest right away rather than being like, all right, I got to really play this long game, go to these major labels, kiss their ass, try to get my shit back, buy it overpriced. And then now, when I'm like 35, 40, I can start getting really into this investment. So it's like, nah, we wanted to do that now. And I think the biggest thing is business is problem solving. So at the end of the day, Red Bull needed a problem to be solved, which was they never really had a real prominent hip hop act in Los Angeles where their office is. And us really being from Los Angeles solved that problem for them. So it's like, I always say it's like the cool kids when they sat with the nerds. Like, it's cool. Like, we wouldn't have got the answers. We gave you the swag. You feel me? Yeah. Respectfully, though.
Shout out to Red Bull.